Well, friends, I welcome all of you to our today's session. We'll continue our discussion on registration process. So practically, we have seen how the registration happens. Step by step, we have already done it in the practical exercise. You already, when you have done that practical exercise, you know what kind of documentations are required and how a person can get itself registered. The entire process is known to you. I think, you have a kind of confidence to get yourself registered or get anybody registered under GST law. A few more things we are going to discuss today. For example, suppose you want some kind of amendment in your registration, right? If some amendments are required, how that is to be done. Or one more thing we have left, that is, if registration is required to be cancelled, in which situation registration can be cancelled. That aspect also we'll be learning today. After that, this entire registration chapter will be over. So I am going to share with you the screen. Wait a minute for that. Screen is visible to you. I think you are seeing the screen, right? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. How registration certificate looks like, you have also seen some relevant definitions you have learned. Who are the persons liable for registration? We have learned that those issues. Okay, what is the limit, turnover limit for getting oneself registered? You already know what is the meaning of aggregate turnover. We have discussed several times. We have done some exercises on that also. Various exercises you have done. The concept of compulsory registration. Yeah, up to this we have already done. Persons not liable for registration, that also we had discussed in our earlier classes. Yeah, procedure for registration, step by step. I'm not going to explain you the procedures because you already know, you have tried it, how to do it, right? Only few theoretical things I will be explaining you today. The procedures of registrations are dealt in section 25 of CGSTR. Few additional things we need to remember. I trust all of you know the procedures. First thing, what is relevant for us to know is that when a person is liable to register himself, this one should know. A person is liable to be registered within 30 days from the date on which he becomes liable for registration. Okay, suppose somebody's turnover is exceeding the limit. So within 30 days from that day, he is required to get himself registered. Right. So this 30 days is important. You have to remember that thing. And in case that person is a casual taxable person, who is a casual taxable person? We know it already in the definition part we have also covered. Or a person who is a NRTP. NRTP means non-resident taxable person. Right. These two kind of people shall apply for registration at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the business. Before commencement of the business, at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the business, this casual taxable person, CTP and NRTP, they should apply for registration. Right. Others, they need to apply within 30 days from the date when they become liable for registration. Right. So this is the time limit for applying for registration. Okay. Is it clear? And in that context, one more thing also we need to remember, that if a person, suppose somebody is having a unit, having a business unit in a SEZ, that is special economic zone, right? Then what will happen? So in case he's having one unit in a special economic zone, and or you can say having business in elsewhere but having a branch in special economic zone, in that kind of situation, what will happen, that is dealt with this particular proviso. If you read this particular proviso, it will be more clear to you. I'm reading it for you. A person having a unit as defined in the SEJ in a or if that person is an SEJ developer, shall have to apply for a separate registration as distinct from his place of business located outside SEZ. That means if the someone is having a place of business outside SEZ and he is having a place of business in SEZ, then he should have two separate registrations. Right? Shall have to apply for a separate registration as distinct from his place of business located outside SEZ. That means for the place outside SEZ, there will be one registration, and for the place which is located inside SEZ, there will be one more registration. Okay, so these three key points you need to remember. First of all, normal person needs to apply for registration within 30 days. CTP and NRTP need to apply for registration prior to 5 days of commencement of the business. And for SEZ, a distinct registration is required. Okay, is it clear up to this? Yes or no? Is it clear to you?
Can you repeat again?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Will you please repeat what you are saying? I couldn't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, it's okay now. Tell me.
Sir, I just wanted you to repeat.
Yeah, I'm repeating once again. What I'm saying that the process of registration, all of you know, because all of you have tried practically. I had also explained you practically how to go for a registration. So for a registration is concerned, the process is important. But in addition to that, you should know some legal things. First of all, we are now right now we are learning section 25(1) of CGST Act, and that act requires, or this particular provision tells us when one person requires to register himself. Right. Normally, one is required to get himself registered within 30 days from the date on which he becomes liable for registration. Okay, he is making, let us say, taxable supply which exceeds the limit which is fixed, which you have learned earlier. Then within 30 days from that date, he has to get himself registered. That's the normal provision. And a casual taxable person and a non-resident taxable person need to get himself registered with before 5 days. That before 5 days or at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the business. Okay, so these two category of persons, they need to get himself registered. And if someone is having a place of business outside an SEZ and one place of business inside SEZ, then he need to have two distinct registrations under GST law. So these are the three concepts which are covered under section 25(1). That is what we have covered right now. Is it clear to you now? Is it clear? Well, the concept of single registration we have already covered. Right, a person seeking registration under this act shall be granted a single registration in a state or in a union territory. But if somebody wants, if he's having multiple places of business in a state and a union territory, he may be granted separate registrations for each such place of business. So it is up to him. Normally, a single registration is suffice. But if somebody wants, he can go for multiple registration. This concept already we know. We have discussed all this. And we also know the concept of voluntary registration. I need not read this particular subsection again. Voluntary registration concept we know. Anybody can apply for registration. We know the concept of distinct person. this particular subsection also. Uh, I'm not again reading for you. You already know what is a distinct person and what is the process of voluntary registration and how registration is PAN based. That also you know, right? So permanent account number is required for for getting one person registered. Yeah, and also you know the concept of UIN, right? Unique identification number. So the specialized agencies of the United Nations Organization or multilateral financial institutions and organization notified under the United Nations Privilege and even it is Act 1947, consulate or embassy of foreign countries, etc. They get this unique identity number under GST law, right? This concept also you know earlier, so we are not covering it in detail, right? So yeah, a few more things we'll be learning about this casual taxable persons. As I told you right now, a casual taxable person or a non-resident taxable person need to apply for registration at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the business. And you see, the registration certificate given to them is practically a temporary certificate. Okay. So the validity of the certificate is like this. You have to remember this thing. When they apply for registration, this is covered under section 27. You can see it here. The certificate of registration issued to a CTP or NRTP shall be valid from the period specified. Since it is a temporary registration, it is valid only for the period which is specified, or 90 days from the effective days of registration. So either for the period specified or 90 days from the date of registration, whichever is earlier. And such person shall make taxable supplies only after issuance of the certificate of registration. So prior to registration, let us say prior to commencement of the business, these people need to apply for registration and they will get a temporary registration certificate. Okay, so the period of validity of the certificate will be mentioned there. It will be specified there, and they have to start the supply only after this certificate is made effective. Okay, and this period of 90 days can also be extended. The proper officer may extend the period of 90 days, but it should not extend it again beyond 90 days. So the provision is read like this. It may extend for, this is like this. The proper officer on sufficient cause being shown by the said taxable person, extend the said period of 90 days by further period not exceeding 90 days. That means 90 days can again be extended further for another 90 days. Okay, is it clear? This is about casual taxable persons and non-resident taxable persons registration, right? And these people has to make an advance deposit of tax, and this advance deposit of tax shall be credited in the electronic cash ledger. You already know what is electronic cash ledger. We have already seen it in the site. So this casual taxable persons and NRTP, they have to deposit money in advance and that has to be credited in the electronic cash ledger. Okay, this is the concept about this registration. Is it clear to you up to this? Now, coming to next concept is about amendment of the registration. That means you have already applied for registration. You got a registration certificate. Now you need an amendment. Now, friends, you have to consider that amendment can be related to some fields which are called as core fields and some fields which are called as non-core fields. Okay, core fields are like this. Suppose you want to make a change in the name of the business, principal place of business, or additional place of business. These fields are called as core fields. Okay, all other fields are called as non-core fields. First, let us see how to amend the core fields. For amendment in the core field, someone has to, that person has to make an application, right? Okay, the taxable person has to apply for amendment within 15 days of the event necessitating the changes. Suppose place of business got changed, so within 15 days he has to make an application. Or let us say name of the business got changed or additional place of pawn. In such cases, all these cases, within 15 days of the event necessitating the changes, that person has to apply and the proper officer will make the amendment within next 15 days. So within next 15 days, proper officer can make some amendment if the amendment is related to core fields. If the amendment is related to non-core fields, right? Suppose authorized person data is there, you want to change that authorized person. You have already seen how to apply for registration, these kind of things. So name of the functionaries, let us say you want to change email ID, you want to change mobile number, etc. These are non-core fields. Non-core fields, directly the taxable person by going to the common portal can make amendments. So non-core fields can be easily amended. Taxable person himself can get it amended. But core fields, if you want amendment in the core fields, you have to apply within 15 days and the proper officer shall get it amended within next 15 days. Is it clear to you regarding amendment of registration? Yes or no? Is it clear to you? Can you reply? Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is about amendment. Then next concept I'll be telling you the cancellation or suspension of the registration. So it is possible the proper officer may either on his own motion, that means he himself, the officer may himself, or on application filed by the registered person can cancel the registration. Once it is registered, it is also possible it can be cancelled, right? In different circumstances, cancellation might be necessary. Some of the circumstances are listed here, like you see, business might have been discontinued or might have been fully transformed, or maybe death of the proprietor, or business might have amalgamated with some other business. Okay, or there is a change in constitution, like change in partnership deed, etc. Or the person may not be no longer liable to be registered. If this kind of situation, registration can be cancelled, the proper officer can suo moto do the cancellation, or maybe the registered person may apply himself for getting his registration cancelled. So registration cancellation is possible, right? The proper officer also can cancel the registration with effect from such date as he deemed fit, including retrospective date. That means it's also possible to cancel the registration with a retrospective date. Okay, in which situation, or you can say which situation that is possible, in which situation cancellation can be made by the proper officer in any day. These are the situations which are listed here. Registered person might have contravened some of the provisions of the act. He might not have complied some of the provision. He might not have furnished return for 3 consecutive tax periods, right? So let us say he has not filed returns for 3 consecutive tax periods, then also it can be cancelled. The registered person, other than the case B, has not furnished return for a continuous period of 6 months, right? First thing talks about the person paying tax under section 10 has not furnished return for 3 consecutive tax periods. Second is the registered person who has not furnished return for a continuous period of 6 months. Person who has taken voluntary registration and has not commenced business within 6 months. Registration has been obtained by means of fraud, misstatements, suppression of facts for this by showing these things, or through this process, through some fraud or through some misstatement or through suppression of fact, if registration is amended, then the proper officer may cancel the registration of a person from such date, including any retrospective date. Right? In these situations, registration can automatically get cancelled by the proper officer. Understood this? So once registration is done, there is also every possibility that this can be cancelled. Yeah, these two things I wanted to cover so far as registration part is concerned. Okay, do you have any query on registration process? Then let me know. We'll see those parts. Otherwise, this area is over. Registration area is over. We'll enter into some other areas. Is it clear to you?